Definitely.
Because we can take any flavor we're making today and make it dairy-free.
So,
you're up.
Well, we are up.
We're up. Okay. Okay.
Turtle ice cream is the next. Here's the formula. So if you can just pass one down, and then don't forget about them over there. Sorry about that. What happened to the whisk?
Oh, I was using it. It's down here. Are we using the CB350?
That's not the. That's a masher.
That's a masher. I don't know where the whisk went.
Okay. Well, we'll pull a Jeff. The whisk disappeared.
Yeah. Maybe it was in Jeff's last ice cream.
No. Okay.
No whisk in there?
No. It's all right. I'll just use a spatula. It'll be okay. So everybody knows we thought we would do a turtle ice cream in due to Valentine's Day. Everybody knows the turtle candy, right? Obviously, these are way too expensive to just buy a whole mess of these, put them in the grinder, and put it in your ice cream. So we're going to take all the ingredients that it takes to make a turtle and turn it into ice cream. So you can call it turtle ice cream. People might look at it weird, maybe just change the name a little bit, but either way, it's a great flavor. You can keep it year-round and just change the name. I know a lot of...
That's a little small. I'll
Thanks,
find it
Jeff.
later.
Okay, so we need 6 ounces of chocolate. Someone, have a question? No? I don't think that's going to work very well. You don't have to mix it completely all the way, just enough to get it saturated, because the machine will do the rest.
You want to try that, Christy?
No, I'm good.
I'm going to use it for the cake then.
Then what else do we need to add to the machine? You guys have the formula. We got to grind those up.
Tell us what's in the formula. Anybody? Caramel?
So let's get this going.
Now,
Anybody have a nut allergy? Okay.
you froze those first, right?
No,
You
not
didn't
the
have
not the candied pecans, because they've got enough sugar and they're going to keep their texture and their shape pretty well. So I like to grind them up first.
These Ninja blenders are about $99, and they're absolutely incredible. They'll grind up anything.
On sale this week at Walmart for $60.
Really? Wow. Buy 2.
Buy 5.
Imagine that they can sell a blender for $60. What must they be making it for? Yeah, at the most.
And imagine how many I've sold.
Yeah, that's true too.
What your commission was on that.
Okay, so we have our 3.5 quarts of mix, our 6 ounces of chocolate powder. Now let's add our caramel. 2 jars, right? Look at that. I know you can buy these in this way, or you can buy the economy size. They come in a really big, jar or a can, almost like the pineapple juice can over there. We're going to go ahead and turn this on. But we just go to the store here and just buy what we need to buy. And then I think the last thing is chocolate chips, right? I was going to say I can't open it.
Knife.
No, I got it.
Any questions so far? Excuse me. Yes.
Do you do anything anymore?
Go away.
And the pecans. Do what?
It's Jeff being Jeff. It's self-explanatory. Yes, my new role model job is the 1950s refrigerator. I'm like this.
Vanna White.
I think that looks good. So that just goes to show that you can take, you know, any candy, and as we talked about, it doesn't have to be the actual candy itself. You know, just like I think Jeff is going to do a cake. You want to do a Irish cream cake ice cream. You don't have to actually make the cake to put it into the machine, but you just buy the ingredients that consists of it to make it into an ice cream. Possibilities are endless. You know, as Jeff's famous words are, go supermarketing. I really like that terminology. You go to the store, you just pick up anything that you need. If you're having supply issues, that's the best part of having an Emery Thompson is you can go to the store and just buy whatever you need to put right into the machine. Anybody have any questions?
What's the benefit of the water versus what was the other option?
Air cooled for the larger machines. So the question she asked is, what's the benefit of having a water versus the air? As far as functionality, there's not. Both machines run and function the same. Typically, all of our sales are water cooled for the floor models. The reason is it's, you know, water comes in to keep it cool, water comes right back out, and it doesn't produce any heat. It's not going to make your building hot or stuffy. An air cooled does that. Typically, people go with an air cooled because they have really strict water restrictions where they're at in their city. You know, they're remote islands, they're way up a mountain where water is very scarce to get to. Places like Alaska, you know, water cooled machines can probably freeze over pretty quickly, you know, with their kind of sub-zero temperatures that they do have. So preferably, you know, water cooled is always best. And then also if you are wanting to conserve your water, our machines also work very well on a glycol chiller. So it can recycle the water and then come right back to the machine. Yes.
Little trivia, the air-cooled machines are built by Christi's husband, Mickey. He's our second engineer, and he is specialized in the air-cooled units. And because of that, they now run, as I mentioned before, the same efficiency as the water-cooled. They're terrific if you need it. If you're in Saudi Arabia, if you're on a septic tank and you can't fill it up, the rare occasion like San Diego where they do not allow water-cooled anything, they would prefer that the citizens not drink water, then you would go with a air-cooled unit. But otherwise, as Christi said, 90% of the machines leaving here of the larger models are water-cooled. It sounds inefficient to throw water away, but it isn't, because water never disappears. It goes into the ground, it evaporates. It may not rain over your town, but it's going to rain over somebody's town. But electricity is, once used, is gone forever. And we all know how electricity costs are going up 4 times a year because it's fossil fuel. And so your electric bill gets very expensive running air-cooled as opposed to water. So water really is the more efficient, simple way to go. Fewer moving parts, less cost to buy the machine. We pass along the savings to you because it doesn't have fan motors or a radiator.
I forgot the vanilla. Oops.
This is Lockhead Vanilla. They actually call it Steve's Blend, Steve's Special Blend, because we use so much of it and we promote it so much. Regular store vanilla is not going to cut it in an ice cream parlor. You need a high quality vanilla. Anybody who's in the ice cream business or ultimately will get to the point where if they walk into your store, they're not going to buy the salted caramel or the mousse tracks. They're going to buy your vanilla, because as Tom Carvel once said to me, if they're cheating on the vanilla, you can be damn sure they're cheating on the more expensive flavors. And it really does come down to that, is you can judge a store's quality by their vanilla. I always go into a store and buy their vanilla, and it tells me everything I need to know about their store. So this company is called Lockhead, Lochead. It's an American company. It's a family business. Great people. We can give you their information. Otherwise, you just call up Lockhead and say you want Steve's Special Blend. It does make a difference whose vanilla you use.
Yeah, their information is also in your packet too as well. Yes.
So I have a water-cooled unit and I tow it in the winter. Do I need to winterize the coolant system like you would an RV?
I believe you just need to get the water out of you need to blow the water out of the actual machine. Like you said you had a water cooled, yes? Yeah, just getting the water out.
The question was, do you have to winterize a water-cooled machine if you shut down for the winter and there's no heat in your building? Absolutely. Whether it's a soft ice cream machine or a batch freezer or a milkshake machine, they all have to be winterized. The water circulates around through the system with a Freon gas tube inside it. And if that water freezes that's left in the machine, it'll break the Freon tube and now your machine's ruined. You call in your refrigeration man or someone handy with a tank of compressed air and you blow it through the system so that there's no water in there and you're good for the whole winter. Yes, Jeff?
If the machine is left in a controlled environment, temperature-wise, you still have to do that?
Jeff's question was, if your machine is left in the winter in a cold climate, in a controlled environment, do you have to do that? The simple answer is we had a snowstorm in Brooklyn one year that lasted 5 days. Certain sections of Brooklyn were completely without power. Those were controlled environments. They were pastry shops. They were open year-round. No power for 5 days. All those machines were ruined. They all ended up being sold in the Virgin Islands in Mexico, which then they found out were useless. So the answer is, if there's any risk that the power will go out, absolutely. And the chance of power going out nowadays because of bad weather is so high that, yeah, I would blow them out.
Speaking of power, it's also good to have a shut-off box like that for your machinery instead of just, especially the CB200. You know, it comes with the plug, and you can plug it into a wall. It comes with a receptacle as well. That's always the safest method because at the end of the night, you can just turn it off and you're done. Steve always preaches your ice cream makers, whether they're 16, 17, 18, 22, they're going to have wet hands from working with the machine, cleaning it, rinsing it. They go to unplug something, you never know, so it's always safe to have that. Plus, you know, living in Florida, we have thunderstorms all the time. You never know, it could be a thunderstorm coming through, could be a famous squirrel chewing on a line outside, you could have a brownout, a blackout. So at the end of the day, it's always good to just shut it off. Yes?
Also, if you want to save a little money and not put the wall mount, before you leave at night, just go to your breaker box, hit the breaker.
That works as well, too.
If there's no power to the machine, then nothing can happen to the machine. It's that simple.
Yes, correct.
That one, the CB350, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The CB350 is a 20 amp breaker. It's only going to pull at its peak probably about 16 amps. So it's extremely efficient. It's 220 single phase, meaning that you could technically run this in your bedroom in your home because the power coming into your house is 220 and then broken down into plug-in outlets. But if you have an electric clothes dryer in your home, there's a 220 outlet. If you've got an electric oven, it's 220. 220 is available in every building in North America, so you can literally take that machine anywhere. The other machines on the market are basically Italian-made with Chinese parts, and they are made for the European market, which is a different type of power than we have here. So you usually have to buy a transformer for about $3,000 just to run their machine. Ours are made in the USA, ready to hook up and go to work. Yes, Jeff?
How many amps is the 24 quart?
The 24 quart is 40 amps. It's double of this one, and it's going to draw about 32. Yes, sir? Do you need a surge protector on them?
No.
If you're in Tampa, Florida, sure, because the question was, do you need a surge protector? We have so much, we're the lightning capital of the United States. We have so much pop-up lightning storms that you can never go wrong with a surge protector. I'd rather have it on the whole building, though, not just one machine. If you pull that handle down, you have no problems.
Is there a reset on there, a surge protector reset? Protect the compressor?
No, there is protection on the, is there a surge protector on the compressor? No, because it would have to be a really big one. These little ones that we have in our bathrooms are not designed for heavy machinery. So no, it's not in there. But you walk away from the machine and freeze it up, it's gonna slow down and it's gonna shut itself off to protect itself, and it's not gonna let you start it up until it either completely melts down or you take it out and start over. But the real answer is, sorry, shame on you. You were supposed to be in here making ice cream and not talking on the phone or working with customers. You say to your customers, I'm making ice cream for the next 2 hours. Don't bother me. I'm in my ice cream room playing.
So there is a thermostatic reset where if it starts to go too much, it shuts it down for 10 minutes.
It will come back on, but we want you to open the door and take everything out, because otherwise you're starting up against a massive load, and that's not good for anything. Ice cream, Italian ices, sorbets are really, really heavy. So if you make the mistake of freezing it up, open the door, take it out, start over.
A little more.
That's simple.
So if it shuts down over, what the hell shut down? No automatic machine will clean it out and reset.
The machine shut down because you let it go too long. It's that simple. It's reading the torque, and it's going to read it to the point where it just says, that's it, we're cutting off. The amperage is too much.
Does the display come up on the display and go, hey, dumbass?
It'll display a code,
Yeah.
and it says reset and then ready. Yeah, it's a common question, and I get it all the time, usually at 9 o'clock at night on Sunday.
I'm an electrician.
Okay, good. Go ahead. We'll want to answer that later.
Let's go back to talk about sugar content. So you know how Jeff said the more sugar you add, the longer it's going to take to freeze, right? So on your formula, what's the approximate minutes that I say that it was going to take? Okay, remember, 1, it's the first batch, so the machine was very warm. 2, we added chocolate powder, which is sugar. We added caramel, which is, we added chocolate chips, which is, okay, so we're probably going to push about 15 minutes when it goes to freeze. We're at 13 and a half minutes now, and it's pretty thick, but it's going to take a little bit longer. And as Jeff said, we call it a cutoff check. So if you open and close your gate, and it cuts that ice cream off and it kind of plops down, that's a good sign that it's done. Same thing, the puddling versus the peaking. So if it's peaking after it comes into the pan, or your container, it's ready to go. If it starts to puddle, it could probably go a little bit longer. Now, to go over what Jeff was saying about why some people pull it thinner and thicker and versus, there's no right or wrong way. It's your preference on how you want to pull your product. If you're going to do fold-ins, the thinner that you pull it, it's going to be easier to fold in whatever you're trying to fold, like a variegate or some more inclusions that you want to add. The thicker you pull it, you're going to have to kind of knock your tub down because you're going to want your ice cream to stay nice and layered so you don't have air pockets. My other colleague, Mike, he likes to pull his very, very, very thick. So does Slade. But they're into the business to eat it right now because that's what they want. I want to eat it now. They don't want to worry about putting it in for storage. I kind of pull mine in the middle. I know Jeff pulls his a little bit thinner. So let's give it a check. We're at 14 and a half. Looks pretty good. I think it could do maybe another half a minute. Now here's another secret too. Once you turn off this compressor, if you think it needs another 30 seconds or so, it's still going to be freezing for another 30 seconds after you shut it off. So if you extract that or turn this off and you wait a little bit, it's still so cold, it's going to be freezing it a little bit more. Kind of like why they invented cooling racks for baking. When you pull your muffins out, they're still going to bake because your oven or your muffin tin is still very, very, very hot. So we're going to turn that off. And I'm going to say we're going to pull it. And get another tub.
What consistency you pull it at does not change the crystalline structure of the ice cream. Jeff's crystalline structure of the ice cream is going to be the exact same as Christi's or mine. It's just a matter of convenience. We want to get it out of the machine quickly. Other machines you'll see, they have very unimaginative guards that block it, and they tell you, oh, isn't that wonderful, it just looks so pretty coming out. It's taking longer, and now you're changing the consistency because your first product came out, like baking. Excuse me.
And then on the vanilla, you saw I forgot it. Is it going to make a difference to this? No. Did I add it just because I could? Yeah. Now, if I was making vanilla ice cream, then obviously that would have been a big no-no. So we're going to stop that, and we're just going to let that go. And it's time to scoop time. Jeff, you can chit-chat if you like.
What?
I said you can chit-chat if you like.
I got nothing to say. Who said that? Yes, sir.
Can you talk about the hardening cabinet and the importance of it? Or the
I
lack
won't,
of?
no.
Why not?
So a hardening cabinet, it's not necessary. It is recommended. However, there is a difference. Jeff is against them, Steve is for them, and I'm partial. I say if you can't afford it, a chest freezer is going to be just fine. If you have the means to do so, absolutely. Reason is a chest freezer is designed to keep things frozen that's already frozen coming home from the grocery store. Your peas, your pizzas, your pizza pockets, they aren't designed to bring ice cream down super fast, super quick, and hold it there for a very long time, and you can't overload it. You can't pack an entire chest freezer like that to the top of freshly made ice cream because it won't freeze it fast enough. A hardening cabinet is designed to do that.
That call was my doctor. He said, I'm out of ice cream. You need a physical. The hardening cabinet, as Christy was telling you, not only does it go to 25 below, and it's 2 separate compartments, 2 separate compressors, but if you were to use, it's easier to visualize. If you had a big bucket like this of hot soup that you just finished cooking, and you put that into a normal freezer, that freezer is going to warm up very quickly because of all the heat coming off of this. The hardening cabinet, specifically designed to harden ice cream, is going to take that hot soup, chill it down, freeze it, and it'll be solid as a block in about 6 to 8 hours. And then that becomes your inventory. That's where you keep your product. So people buy the CB350. It gets them into business. It's the largest selling machine in the world. And then they start off with 1 or 2 of the $900 Home Depot chest freezers, which is great. And then they call up a year or 2 later and they say, I need a 24 quart. And they explain their situation to me, and I say, well, unfortunately for me, you don't need a 24 quart. You need more freezer space. Your ultimate goal is I need more inventory. If you buy a hardening cabinet then, you don't have to buy it today, but if you buy it then, now you can fill that all up, and 8 hours later you can dump it all frozen, rock solid into your chest freezers. Now you have 4 times as much inventory as you did with just the 2 chest freezers. So it's the way I put people into business, and Jeff does too. The progression is you start off spending as little money as possible. Let the business make money. Don't go out and buy a BMW. Don't go lease a BMW your first year of business. Plow it back into the business. You'll make your money back many times over later on. But you plow it back into the business and you buy equipment as you need it. Other people are going to tell you, oh, you need this today, this and this and this, and they're going to run up $100,000, and you're broke, and they're buying a BMW. So we're going to always treat you and your money with great respect and spend it only when it's absolutely necessary. So Christy's going to pass this out for you to try. I can't wait to try it. I'm going to try it.
If you're not using a hardening cabinet, you're just going to use a chest freezer. Is there a certain way to load the chest freezer so it freezes faster?
Yes, the corners.
You had to repeat the question.
The young lady asked how to load your chest freezers, presuming you're not going to use a hardening cabinet. And yeah, there are colder spots in all the chest freezers, and the colder spots are obviously on the bottom and in the corners. So when I make a batch of ice cream, 6 gallons, I won't just stack 3 and 3 in the freezer. I'll try to go for the corners. I'll separate them because those 6 gallons aren't frozen. So you want them next to stuff that is frozen. Make sense? I paid you to ask that. Yes, sir.
So you're getting the ice cream obviously colder faster in a hardening cabinet. Are you risking like ice forming if you don't do it fast enough? What is the advantage, I guess, of the hardening cabinet?
The product if you overload the chest freezer, which you can only do the bottom level today, and then now that's all blocks of, call it ice if you want, it's ice cream. Then tomorrow you can do another level, and then the next day you can do another level. So you're very limited on how much you can make, which when you're first starting out is fine. If you start a second level in that hardening, in that chest freezer, all the temperature is going to warm up to above the freezing point of ice cream, which we never want to go above 6. But it's all going to warm up, and then it's going to freeze, and yes, it's going to be a big mass of ice crystals. So the chest freezers are extremely limited. It's the way you're going to most likely start your business. But always, when I talk to you on the phone or Christy talks to you, we're going to be planning your store. You're planning for April opening. We're planning for the next 5 years because we know what you're going to need. So, give you an example. This, we were talking to the electrician, and this is a 20 amp breaker. This is a 40 amp breaker. So, when you are doing a new store, I'm going to talk to your electrician. We're going to get his name and talk to him on the phone, and we're going to say, I know you don't see my rationale yet, but when you're instead of running this wire as a certain thickness, we want you to run a heavier wire to run this machine. The numbers are actually, this is a 12 wire, and we're actually going to go down to an 8 with this. The reason is we know someday you're going to buy this. So instead of closing down your store for a week, tearing up the walls again, running the line, and then repatching it back up so you can put this machine in, the wire that's feeding this is more than ample, so all the electrician has to do is come in, is disconnect this, connect it to this with the kill switch in the back, and you're good to go. So maybe it costs you $80, $100 more in wire size to be ready for the future. Well, it's such a simple thing, and we just saved you several $1,000s of, sheetrock people and painting and closing the store, the whole works. So if you know you're going to need this thing and you're doing a fresh start, run the electric lines for this and then don't use them. Just have them there. It's nothing more than two 115 volt, plug and play. Just two 115 volt plugins. You don't have to buy it today. You may not buy it for a year. Or what's happening, and you're all going to be, incredibly surprised. Every single person in this room is going to just be amazed how fast their business is going to grow and expand. People love American ice cream. Gelato is, of course, very popular in Europe, but it was a fad in the United States. It's all but gone. Countries that were gelato, like the Saudi Arabia, Dubai, that area was gelato. Now it's hard ice cream. New Zealand, Australia are hard ice cream. South America's hard ice cream. South America remains gelato. A lot of people from Germany moved there. Africa is hard ice cream. So it just keeps expanding and expanding. And the last thing, and then we turn it back over to our next segment.
I think we have a 10-minute break if you guys need one.
Yeah, everybody want to run off to the bathroom or get up, stretch your legs?
Or we want to keep going?
Vote. Who wants a break?
Who wants a break?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I guess we don't get a break, Jeff.
No.
Done. Hold that bladder. Yes.
So if you're planning on designing
Christi.
your equipment,
I need a bladder.
is this the best way to
How much do
design
you
it?
need?
Full thing.
Have it set up
Full
right
thing?
now
What?
for
Usually, it depends on the state, but it's you don't want it. All states require that the public can't touch the machine. So you either put it, if this is your serving counter, it's got to be behind the counter. If you have more room, you build an ice cream room. Like this is our sound room back here for running our soundboards and cameras and everything else. A room like that would be ideal for making ice cream in, where you have some shelving, you have some freezer space, you can put it in other places, and your ice cream making. And there's certain rules that go along with it, and when you're talking to your health department, keep a diary, write everything down. Let's call him Joe the inspector. Joe is 23 years old, drives a Ford with no chrome on it, and has enough authority to keep you out of business. So you write down what Joe says, and Joe says, I want a dairy tile floor. $10 million. Write it down. So then you come back to someone like me, or you call me, and say, well, what's on the floor now? It's concrete, it's bare. Okay, the health department will probably allow you to use Rust-Oleum to do a 2-stage epoxy. Old people in Florida paint their garages with 2-stage epoxy. They put down bright green, bright red, and they sit out there with their car at night and watch TV. It's insane. But you're going to use it to seal the floor, $87 instead of $3,000. So you go back to Joe and say, hey, Joe, on February 6th, you said you wanted a dairy tile floor. Would you accept a 2-stage epoxy on that concrete? Oh, sure, that's fine. Write it down. And then when Joe's boss comes in April to look at everything, and he goes, what's with this floor? Joe approved it on February 6th. Oh, well, I taught Joe, so if Joe approved it, it's okay with me. So you can't bribe them, you can't shoot them and put them in the dumpster. You got to work with them. So and work with them doesn't mean like my father. I say, hey, Dad, inspector's here. Fine, give him $20 and throw him out. And I said, Dad, this is the 70s. And he goes, fine, give him $40 or throw him out. You have to work with them. And so if you keep a diary, you find out what they want, and then you find simpler ways. The most recent thing right now is a grease trap. Well, their idea of a grease trap is McDonald's, where they're pouring 55 gallons of grease down a drain, and they want it kept, and that's going to be a $5,000 grease trap. You don't need a grease trap. You're not, if you are sending any dairy down the drain, you're losing money. That's your money right there. But you won't win that war either. So, don't fight a war you can't win. Just say, okay, I'll put in a grease trap. And then you come back to them with a literature on a $300 grease trap, and you say, this is going to handle so much, and we only do 1/10 of that. And he's checked off a box on his list. Okay, fine, you've got the grease trap. It cost you $300 instead of the store being closed for 6 months while you argue with the city over, do I need a grease trap or not? It sounds complex, it's not. It's just common sense. So when you ask about how to set it up, it will be the individual store, but we'll be glad to help you. If the camera can come over this way for a second, I'll just point out one thing. Christi is working at the sink. The health department does not want the batch freezer right next to the sink because technically dirty water could get into the machine. So we have this barricade of a rack storage here. Is it 6 feet? Okay, so if you also, if you didn't have the space, I've gotten approved through health departments where we put up a plastic shield, a clear plastic shield as a barricade, and then they allowed the machine to be next to it because they knew the water couldn't splash out. Work with your health department. They can be your best friend or your worst enemy, and we definitely want to make them your best friend. Yes, sir.
2 questions. I'm a rookie at this whole ice cream.
Everybody's a rookie in
I'm
here.
in the fitness industry, which is kind of crazy to go do ice cream, but I've learned you can actually make more money helping people eat ice cream than you can't get fit. What's the ideal temperature to store your ice cream?
What's the ideal temperature to store your ice cream at? We can do it in the chest freezers at 10 below, and that's fine. It would be good for longer than you should keep it. It would be good for a month or two. These cabinets, the hardening cabinets, go to 25 below. Anything of 10 below or colder is just fine. Your ice cream will be rock hard, your ices will be rock hard, and they don't deteriorate at all. Fishermen and hunters will tell you that if you catch that great salmon, in fact, I've got some salmon, thanks to Jeff, in my freezer over there. If you can keep it at 10 below, it's going to be good for about 6 or 8 months. If you keep it in your home freezer, part of your refrigerator freezer, and it's at 0, it's only going to be good for 1 month. So the colder you go, the longer the inventory that you can keep it. And then again, conversely, don't have inventory of a product that's not selling. Just because you've kept it for 3 months isn't going to make it sell any better. Have the guts to say, I love this flavor. I love my coffee banana, but everybody else hates it. Don't sell coffee banana.
Okay, so as we move on.
Wait, how did everybody like the turtle ice cream? Excellent. Good. Would you change anything or add anything, take something away in it? No? All right, well then I guess I did perfect.
Yes, you did.